Well, this video is for Math 95, and it has to do with the vertex and intercepts for a parabola. So we won't be doing any graphing on this assignment, but we're just going to be finding points that are the vertex and x and y intercepts for a parabola. So let's see here. We already talked about the vertex. So to find the x-coordinate for the vertex, you calculate negative b over 2a, and then you plug that in, and you get the y-coordinate. Okay, so this will be the x-coordinate. You get that answer, you plug it in, and then that'll tell you what the y-coordinate is. The intercepts, so the x-intercepts are where y equals 0. Okay, and the y-intercept, there's usually just one. That's where x is equal to 0. And these parabolas frequently have two x-intercepts. Sometimes they only have one. Let me just show you real quick before we start doing the problems. Here's a parabola, a standard parabola with two x-intercepts, right? These are the points. The x-intercepts are where the parabola crosses the x-axis, okay? And right at the x-axis, that's where y equals 0, right? Okay, so that's what we were saying about the x-intercepts. Now you can have two x-intercepts. You've got some parabolas that just come down and touch and then go right back up, and in that case there's only one x-intercept. And then you have other parabolas that are like this, and there are no x-intercepts. And so I'm not sure if we have any like that. Let me see. Take a quick look at the answer key. Yeah, we are going to see a couple of those. So what happens here is that when you solve the quadratic formula, because that's how you find the x-intercepts, and you'll see this when we do examples. When you solve the quadratic formula, if you get complex valued answers, that's telling you that there are no x-intercepts on this real valued graph. Okay? All right, well, let's look at some examples here. Okay, problem 2. Let's see here. Problem 2 says y equals x squared minus 6x plus 9. So, first off, the vertex. We want to do negative b over 2a, so that's positive 6 over 2, which is 3. And that's the x-coordinate. And then y is going to be 3 squared minus 6 times 3 plus 9. And that should be 0. Yeah, okay. So that says that our vertex is the point 3, 0. Now, notice that this is also an x-intercept, right? Because that's where y is equal to 0. Now, so let's find the x-intercepts. Oops. And that's where y equals 0. So make the y 0, and now we just need to solve this equation. So here you've got a couple choices. This is factorable. It's pretty easy to factor. Okay? And as a result, this is one of those problems that parabolas that just comes down and touches and then goes back up where x is equal to 3. Okay? So it's both the vertex and the x-intercept. And there's only one x-intercept there. So we've got a vertex at 3, 0. We've got an x-intercept at 3, 0. The y-intercept is usually pretty easy to find. All you've got to do is make x 0, which means that anything that has an x in it is going to disappear, and we're just going to get y equals 9. And so that says that our y-intercept is the point 0, 9. Okay, so that's it for problem 2. So in this one, we had just a single x-intercept, but we found the vertex and we found the y-intercept as well. And these problems where you've just got one x-intercept, that's also usually going to be the vertex as well. Okay, so that's problem 2. Look at a couple more here. Okay, let's look at problem 6. X squared plus x. Y equals x squared plus x. Okay, so our vertex, negative b over 2 times a. So that's going to be negative 1/2. You can call it negative 0.5 if you'd like. And then we need to plug in that x value, negative 1/2 squared, plus negative 1/2. So that's going to be positive 1/4 minus 1/2. So minus 1/4 or minus 0.25. So our vertex is at the point negative 1/2, negative 1/4. Okay. And again, you can use those decimal values if you prefer. Next, the x-intercepts. Again, this is where y equals 0. This one is also factorable. Factor out the x. X times x plus 1. This says x equals negative 1. This one says x equals 0. So we've got 2 x-intercepts, 0, 0, and negative 1, 0. Okay. Now the other way to go about doing this, I forgot to do this for problem 2, is to solve this using the quadratic formula. A is 1, B is 1, C is 0. Okay? So if you want to do this, you can set this up as negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 squared minus 4 times 1 times 0 all over 2 times 1. So notice with that 0 there, that means we're just going to have square root 1. And so this is going to be negative 1 plus 1 over 2 and negative 1 minus 1 over 2. This is 0, and this one right here is negative 2 over 2, which is negative 1. And that's what we found. X equals 0 and x equals negative 1. So you can do this by factoring, or you can use the quadratic formula, and then in the end, we want to write these as points. X-intercepts where the y coordinate is 0. All right, last thing we need to find, the y-intercept. And as usual, this one is pretty straightforward. Let's see, am I standing in front of the camera here? So we just want the x's to be 0. Notice, so our y-intercept then is the point 0, 0. And again, I'm not asking you to graph these, but if you look at these values that we've gotten, what this is this is going to go through the origin and through the point negative 1, 0. And you've got a vertex down there at negative 1/2, negative 1/4. So that's the way that one's going to look. But again, I'm not asking you to graph that in these problems. Okay, that's problem 6. Let's look at a few more here. Oh, don't want to erase that. Oh, let's see what else we've got here. Let's see here. Oh, let's go ahead and do problem 12. So in this one, you've got y equals 4x squared plus 4x minus 3. And so the first thing we want to do is find the vertex. And so that's negative b over 2a. And so that's going to be minus 4 over 8. So negative 1/2, okay. And then we need to calculate the y coordinate. So we plug the x value into our formula, and let's see. So this will be 4 times positive a fourth minus 4 times a half, which is 2, minus 3. So this is 1 minus 2 minus 3, looks like negative 4. So that's what we're getting for the vertex here, is negative 1/2 and negative 4. Okay, next we need the x-intercepts. And that's where y is equal to 0. So let's set this equation, 4x squared plus 4x minus 3 equal to 0. And again, let's see, I think that this one is factorable. Let's see, can we do that? 6. Yeah. So if we split this up as 2x and 2x and 3 and 1, we want this to be positive and this to be negative. So there's our 6x minus 2x, that gives us 4x. And so 2x plus 3 equals 0, x is negative 1.5. Over here, 2x minus 1 equals 0, x equals positive 1/2. So those are our x-intercepts, where x is 1/2 and y is 0, or x is negative 1.5 and y is 0. Now again, you can use the quadratic formula here. We can say a is 4, b is 4, c is negative 3. And what would we get here? Let's see, negative b, and then b squared 4ac, and 2 times a. So what are we going to get out of this? Negative 4, and then inside here 16, that minus and minus will be positive 48. And then in the denominator 8. So this is going to be negative 4 plus or minus square root 64 divided by 8. Square root 64 is, of course, 8. So what we've got is negative 4 plus 8 over 8, and negative 4 minus 8 over 8. So here's our 1/2, and here's our negative 1.5. So we get the same answers either way, right? If you can factor something, this is often quicker and easier. If it's not quicker and easier for you, then you can use the quadratic formula. And you don't have to memorize that quadratic formula. You'll have that when it comes time to take the final. And then again, last thing we want to do here, or you can do this first if you want to, because it's usually the easiest thing to do, is plug in 0 for x. And you don't even really have to actually plug in 0 for x. Sometimes I just do this. Oh, x equals negative 3, right? Because these things are all going to be 0 here, and we're just going to have y equals negative 3. So our y-intercept is where x is 0 and y is negative 3. So that's what this assignment is all about. Find the vertex, find the x-intercepts, find the y-intercept. All right, so if you have any questions about this, please let me know. We'll have another assignment on parabolas before we start something new, which will be for the last week of class.